Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and I hope you're having a wonderful week. Today I'm going to talk about the inner child. I know you're so familiar with this term, but I'm going to explain it in simple words, and I'm also going to be sharing with you four main types of inner child wounds and what to do about them. You see, something about life is our childhood experiences will always influence most of our decisions in the present moment or in our present life, and we are mostly unaware of the connection between our childhood experience or what we went through when we were young and some of our decisions in the present moment or in some of our circumstances in the present moment. So that's why you may at times find yourself struggling with life or struggling with some unhealthy habits in adulthood, or you may be feeling these bouts of anger, shame, guilt, doubt, or even attracting toxic partners, or attracting toxic relationships, or attracting narcissists, or just having these simple day-to-day stresses without really figuring out the cause of all this. And you even feel like you're never really making any considerable changes. Like you might try to change a habit today, but after a week you just get back to the same habit or the same behaviors. You try to leave that relationship, you get back to the same toxic relationships. And you might even get to this point where you feel that these negative aspects of your life are more of an integral part of your being or an integral part of who you are. So we get stuck in these patterns because the problem didn't start in the present moment. Like these feelings are tied to our past experiences or our past or the things we learned in our past. So the inner child now is more of the child that lives within you. It's more of a depiction of ourselves in multiple stages or in the early days of our lives. It's more of the unconscious, instinctual part of yourself that internalized the messages they received, or that internalized the messages you received from outer experiences when you were young. So the inner child moves more of like runs the show behind the scenes, and it will dictate most of your current behaviors and actions without even you being aware of them. So then what are these inner child wounds we mostly talk about? So the thing is, when we were young or when we were just being taken care of by our caregivers, of course we are so vulnerable and we are just like sponges because we readily absorb what our environments and our caretakers teaches as we, because children actually learn by mostly by seeing and observing. So we absorb what's in the environment, and we absorb things depending on how our caretakers or our parents treat us. So if as a child you constantly receive like negative messages from the environment or from your parents or from the adults in your life or from your caregivers, then that inner child is wounded or hurt. So inner child wounds develop if our psychological needs were not met when we were young. And the thing is, when we are kids, we model most of our behaviors and most of our lives around the adults close to us. Because we are so powerless to take care of ourselves, you can't take care of yourself as a child. And we are totally like dependent on those caregivers, or we are dependent on our parents, or we're just dependent on the community for our safety and survival. So, since we look up to those people for guidance and for survival, we might have this belief that everything they did was right. Like everything your parent did was right, even if they were mean or unkind. You just feel that they were right because you depended on them for survival. So if they didn't show you like love or care, we might think that it was your fault because you weren't good enough. So the internalized message will be you are not good enough for their care and love. So if you are raised in a environment where, let's say, you were neglected or you were abused, let's say physically or even sexually or just emotionally, by those people who you depended on or who you looked up to, then your childhood needs were not fully met. And the thing is, it was actually their responsibility to take care of you or to nurture you in the best way possible or to create that safe, loving environment for you. So, some of the parents and guardians may, of course, refuse to take on that responsibility or to take care of you, or some may not even be aware that their actions are hurtful to you. They may think that they are taking care of you, but on the contrary, those actions are hurtful and they may not fulfill most of their psychological needs, like needs of validation and attention. So as a result, they may end up hurting you, and that internalized hurt is what develops inner child wounds. So inner child wounds is the internalized hurt you did not process when you're young. So I'm going to be talking about like the four main categories of inner child wounds and how they shape most of your current behaviors and how they shape most of your current relationship choices. So the first inner child wound I'm going to talk about is abandonment wounds. So abandonment wounds is more of like when someone has, when you have these abandonment wounds, you may feel that you are always excluded and you are always left out, even when you are invited to social situations. So you may be invited to events, but you just feel that it's like you are being left out. And when you are feeling this way, you may develop this fear of being alone, and you may feel that you are not part of a group. And you might also agree to do anything to avoid being left out. You may agree to lower your boundaries because you don't want to be left out. You may just say yes to a friend. Let's say a friend is going out, and then you may just say yes even if you don't want to, because you don't want to feel excluded. You don't want to be left out. So you will mostly be someone who says yes to friends or family, not because you even enjoy doing those things the family is doing, but because you just don't want to feel left out. You just don't want to feel abandoned. And these may result in codependent behaviors, of course, like people pleasing, like perfectionism, where you depend on others for validation and approval, or validation and recognition. And also, you may attract partners, or you may attract relationships where someone is emotionally available, like they are not there emotionally, because that's what happened to you as a kid. And you may also have this deep fear of being alone, and this may make you stick to those unhealthy relationships because you just fear being abandoned, you just fear being left out, you just fear leaving a relationship. So you might stick to that toxic relationship because you fear abandonment. The second wound is trust wounds. This is where when you develop these wounds, it's the point where like the adults in your life, let's say your caregivers, didn't really protect you from danger when you were young. They may have, of course, abused you, let's say sexually abused you, or betrayed your trust through their actions. So those adults in your life in the past betrayed your trust. Of course, when your trust is betrayed, you will develop this deep distrust of other human beings. Like you may have this deep feeling like people or humans are never to be trusted. This is because you feel that the people who are supposed to be there for you didn't take care of you. So you'll feel that people are always there to hurt you. And you'll always feel this constant deep insecurity, and you'll constantly doubt yourself and your intentions. And you will be looking so much at the history of your bad decisions or the wrong decisions you've made in life, and you even water down your good decisions because you just feel that you cannot even trust yourself. You cannot trust your own judgments because of what happened in the past. You just feel that you cannot keep your word. Like if you say like you'll do something, you just feel that you will not follow along with that word because you don't trust your judgments and your instincts. And this will also lead to relationship problems because you'll be afraid of being vulnerable or open up in your relationships, and you'll be constantly seeking external validation or assurance or reassurance and assurance from your partner. You feel like you always have to be on guard and protect yourself, making it difficult to like connect or to build meaningful connections with others. And the other thing is, you may also struggle with feelings of nervousness, let's say anxiety, and fear of being betrayed or hurt because that's what happened to you in the past. And with these trust wounds, actually, you will unconsciously attract an untrustworthy people because we attract the opposite of what we of who we are deep inside. And you may also tend to reject yourself before someone else can reject you. Let's say instead of going for that date, you may reject yourself so that you save yourself from the rejection you will get. Yeah. The third type of wound is guilt wounds, where like you develop these feelings of guilt if you were constantly made to feel guilty or to feel bad for what you did as a child. Let's say you were constantly breaking things, so they made you feel like you're always someone who destroys things, and you ended up apologizing. So in your adult life, you may end up like excessively apologizing and feeling remorseful for things, even when it's not necessary, even when something is not your fault, or even when it's not necessary to apologize. Like you may just say sorry so much, like you may feel bad about yourself for setting and upholding personal boundaries because you believe that if you set personal boundaries, you'll be hurting others in the process. And when you hurt others, of course, you'll feel bad about yourself. The other thing is, you may also engage in some self-sabotaging behaviors, such as you said, like lowering your boundaries or sticking to unhealthy relationships so as not to inconvenience others, or so as not to upset others, because you know that you are always the one on the wrong. You may even sacrifice yourself to make sure that others are not upset by your actions, or others are not upset by your behaviors. And you may also use guilt. You may at times use guilt to manipulate others because that's what you are used to. It was used against you to change your behaviors when you were young, and it is what helped you to survive your childhood. And the thing is, when you feel when you finally leave that toxic relationship, or you practice say no contact, you may feel so bad and so guilty for doing it, even if you know it was not the best place for you, even if you know it was very, very toxic and your partner didn't show any signs of changing their behaviors. You just feel bad because of those guilt wounds. The last wound is neglect wounds. So the neglected wound can result from feeling ignored, or feeling or made to feel unimportant in your childhood. So with this wound, actually, what happens is you may struggle with self-care or taking care of yourself, and you'll even like oftenly prioritize other people's needs in front of your own. You may feel like you don't deserve anything good in life, you don't matter, and this can of course lead to like low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-doubt, and the belief that you don't even deserve any kind of healthy relationships, or you are just that kind of person who doesn't deserve any good things in life. Even if you are getting good things, you'll feel like, nah, those are not your things, and you'll even have difficulty letting things go. Let's say letting that relationship go. You'll be so clinging to things. So your emotional needs were not met as a child, and if those needs were not met, you'll feel that those feelings do not matter. So you may end up repressing or numbing your emotions because you feel that it's a normal thing to do. And when you numb those emotions, it will of course manifest through like explosive rage or anger in your present life. So you may get angry at your kids, or at something which doesn't necessitate that much anger, because of the anger which is locked deep inside you because you are so repressed. Yeah. So you may for example, you may be angry so much in traffic, or just when something doesn't go your way, because that repressed anger is getting a chance to express itself. It's getting a chance to show itself in the present moment. You may also like tend to withdraw from situations or from circumstances because you feel that your voice doesn't matter, like you are afraid to assert your voice, or you feel that what's the point of you asserting your voice? No one will listen to you anyway, so you shouldn't even bother airing your problems. So you'd rather like just keep quiet than speak up. After all, you learn that from your caregivers, you learn that from your childhood. So those are the 4 inner child wounds: guilt wounds, trust wounds, neglect, and abandonment wounds. And actually, your inner child wounds will have a very, very huge impact in most of your relationships, even in most of your current ventures, even if it's business, even if it's abundance, or all those kind of things. So those wounds are and experiences create like kind of a split deep within you, because they separate you from who you are and who you think you are. So you have this wounded inner child, and then you have this authentic self. And what happens is, this wounded inner child will feed you with unconscious beliefs such as like you are unlovable, you are not good enough, you don't deserve any good things in life, or people are not to be trusted, or you are never going to get any healthy relationship, or you are unworthy of anything good in life, or something like your feelings don't matter, or something like your boundaries are hurting other people, you don't have to have them, or just various negative beliefs that you absorb depending on your upbringing, depending on those wounds you are carrying deep inside you. So the moment you live life without really dealing with those inner child wounds, the wounded inner child will be more of running the show behind the scenes. It will be running the show in your subconscious. And the thing is, the subconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious. You will try to change things consciously, but because of those subconscious beliefs, you'll still find yourself repeating the same patterns, because you'll just be seeing life through that distorted filter of your unconscious beliefs. So when people say inner child work is simply explained is just bringing about those subconscious thoughts or those subconscious beliefs to your conscious awareness. Just being aware of what's locked deep inside. Like it's more of creating that safe environment for that inner child to process and release those trapped emotions, because the inner child, the wounded inner child, is holding emotions which were not processed a long time ago. So when you do the inner child work now, it's like you're processing the emotions the inner child did not process when they were young. And it's more of like telling that inner child that, hey, I'm safe now, and you can let go of what happened in the past, or you can let go of those emotions you didn't process in the past. They don't serve you anymore. Like you are safe. You don't need to use those stuck emotions as a safety net. So inner child work is just a process of acknowledging and nurturing the part of ourselves that may have experienced trauma, or that may have been neglected, or that may have been abused in the past. And through this work, actually, we can heal those old wounds. We can release negative patterns. We can release those negative beliefs we have about ourselves, and we can learn to show ourselves compassion and to love ourselves, and more integrate that inner child to who we are in the present moment. So it's about creating a space within ourselves where our inner child can feel seen, our inner child can feel heard, and can feel valued. So ultimately, like, this inner child work allows us to live life more fully, more presently, and it allows us to even create more fulfilling future for ourselves and more fulfilling relationships. So inner child work is just bringing that inner child and integrating it to our present moment, and we do that by just processing those emotions the inner child or that wound is carrying deep within us. Hope you found that informative and encouraging, guys. If you really want to explore deeper and to work on those unhealed wounds, don't just classify them and say like, I have this wound. No, it's not for you to classify. It's just for you to understand that some aspects in your life may be a result of what you learned in the past, or maybe a result of your abusive past. That's why we are here to help. And if you like my help to really explore those wounds and to process those emotions, feel free to always book a free breakthrough call with me, and I'll be ready to help. Until next time, have a wonderful day.